Gopala Astrology channel, where the science meets astrology for common man's understanding. Subscribe and stay tuned to this channel for continued astrological updates. Gopala Astrology channel once again, ladies and gentlemen. So today we are going to have our a discussion session with Mr. Sudhan about the zodiac signs, the Rashi owners, and then the characteristics of each of the planets. Okay, and we have a lot of things in our agenda. We are going to teach you every planet in respect for every lagna. So, for example, if you place Sun for Aries or Mesha Lagna, so how it is going to behave in different houses, starting from Lagna itself, then second house, third house, etc. So it's going to be a big series. We want you guys to continue to attend these tutorials, and it's going to be a lot of questions from Mr. Sudhanwa and a lot of answers from me. Okay, so we'll make it more and more interesting, and I will leave this to Mr. Sudhanwa to start his questions for today. Okay.
Right. Thanks, Mr. Gopala, sir. Last class, we were discussing about the zodiac signs, constellations, and we learned so many things regarding the houses. What are the significance of each house? And we can call it bhavas.
Right.
So today, I would like to understand what are the significance of each house in their respective signs. Like every sign has its own characteristics. As
Right.
so, based on the characteristics, how a planet behaves in that house. I mean, that is going in the that kind of in the future we are going to talk about the planetary behavior in each houses. But initially,
Right.
let us start to understand what is the significance of each sign in their respective houses.
Definitely. So I hope I can share my screen. Let me share this and try to get this video up. Can you see my screen and
Yes.
you hear me well, Sudhan?
Yes, I can hear you well.
Perfect. So let me put this in the presentation mode so that, yeah, perfect. So what I was trying to highlight today, as Sudhan is asking a beautiful question, he wants to understand in detail about planets placed in different houses, in different zodiac signs, and he also wants to understand what is the nature of each of these zodiac signs in terms of human behavior. We need to connect the zodiac, the theory part that we learned in our last session, into the practical aspect. So let me spend some time on this one. Okay, so we all know that this is the top view of solar system. Some planets are very fast in moving, which is like Mercury, Venus. Of course, Earth is always there, and Mars. So whereas the gaseous giants like Jupiter and Saturn, they take a lot of time to cover ground around the sun, right? Like Jupiter takes 12 years to complete one round around the sun, and Saturn takes almost 30 years. And beyond Saturn, it's you can imagine Pluto takes 250 years and all that. So we will also be focusing on those planets, outer planets, later on. Okay, so let's try to understand. These are the 12 zodiac signs, and I have given specific colors for each of them for a specific reason. The reason is, for example, Mars rules Aries and Scorpio. So both of them are given red color planet Mars as the owner, and the color itself is so significant, and you can appreciate it, right? So Venus is the ruler of Taurus and also Tula Rashi, the Libra. So this is purely the classical Indian astrology. Okay, so we have been learning this from the textbook of Brihat Parashara Hora Shastra, which is the first authenticated and documented book on Indian Vedic astrology, right? So he also assigned two houses for Gemini and Virgo for Mercury planet. So it's going to rule both. So Mercury is going to have the positive ownership towards the Gemini zodiac sign and the negative in Kanya Rashi. Okay, well, you must understand what is positive and negative. I will explain to you shortly, Sudhan. And also, king of all planets, that is the sun, is assigned the ownership of Leo or Simha Rashi. Okay, please understand the nakshatras are always working in the background of zodiac signs. Okay, so we have 12 zodiac signs, and we also learned in our last session there are 27 nakshatras which are behind it. Okay, Moon is given the ownership of Karkataka Rashi or Cancer zodiac sign, and Saturn is given two of the assignments here. One it is Capricorn, and second one is Aquarius. Okay, Capricorn
You
is
mind
more
if I
serious.
interrupt you in this question?
Pardon me?
I'd like to interrupt you to ask a
Yes,
question.
please.
In the modern astrology, we have not come to modern astrology yet. But in modern astrology, each house, for all the planets, there is only one house. I mean,
Yes.
they have considered Uranus, Pluto, Neptune, and they have
And
their
three
own
more
respective
centaurs.
houses.
Yes,
Right?
yes,
Like
yes.
Chiron has its own house.
Correct.
What is the significance? I mean, how are you defining that this sign is having this house? Like based on the Vedic astrology, and when it comes to modern astrology, how is it differentiating? Like, how are we going to understand which is the right approach?
Beautiful question. See, Sudhan, I started learning astrology way back in 1990. You know, when I was in my 12th standard or something like that, I was very curious to know more and more. And during our time, we did not have so much of YouTube was not even there and things like that. We had to go through several textbooks, and I had a library of books in my house actually, right? And it's very fascinating that we learned only Brihad Parashara Horashastra and its branches, right? So many textbooks are written on classical astrology. According to that, until the year 2016, if I'm not mistaken, I was purely following that five planetary system and then two luminaries. For example, five planetary system includes Mars, Venus, and then Mercury, Saturn,
Jupiter, and
and
Saturn.
Jupiter. Okay, so Jupiter I have not put it yet. It is Jupiter here. So I was only following this five planetary system, followed by luminaries, Sun and Moon, and then Rahu Ketu. Rahu Ketu is magnetic points. I will explain Rahu Ketu in detail in some other time. Definitely, we were having these Navagrahas all the time until I came to know about a person by name Greenstone Lobo. He has done a lot of research work in modern astrology, right? So he actually went through the Westerners concept. They were used. Westerners even today use outer planets beyond Saturn, like Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, and they had given a lot of assignments for each of them in their own way. But it was Greenstone Lobo who is the first person to integrate the Western concept with the Eastern concept. So ours is a sidereal system with geocentric astrology. He introduced these planets and then put it in our sidereal Indian way of interpreting the astrological signs, right? And then he said that planet, for example, like planet Venus, it cannot have two ownerships. There is some other thing called a centaur, which is planet X. So many things he added on in recent past. So when I started listening to him and I started attending his lectures online, I learned it's fascinating. It's fascinating. So I have been using both of these concepts, okay, the modern astrology as well as the Indian classical astrology in its own way, and both of them have its own merits. So I'm trying to amalgamate both the sciences and then applying it in my practical approach. So then it makes a lot of sense for me. So what we do for our viewers is this. Let's first go through the classical astrology first. Okay, with this five planetary system, two luminaries, Sun and Moon, and also the Rahu Ketu. Let's do that first, and then I will fill up the gaps. Okay, the gaps has to be filled up. See, if, the research work, or he himself, if you go through Mr. Greenstone Lobo, he himself was puzzled with the horoscopes like Amitabh Bachchan, for example. If I give the horoscope of Mr. Amitabh Bachchan and remove the name as Amitabh Bachchan and give it to any normal astrologer in India, he will go through the horoscope and he will say, oh, this person must have gone through a lot of health problems. He must have really gone through financial crisis in his life and so on and so forth. But he will never say that this is Amitabh Bachchan, because he has that limited five planetary system concept. Okay, so there are certain lacunas in our classical Indian astrology which have been filled up by Greenstone Lobo's outer planet concepts, and then he included centaurs, especially three of them. I'm going to make a separate session for that. We will at present stick to these navagrahas, what I'm going to explain to our new beginners, because I want to make these sessions purely from the common man's perspective and understanding for the new seekers. All right, so let's do that. So as I told you, the planetary assignment is given for Aries and Scorpio for Mars. Mars is the ruler of these two, and Venus rules Taurus and Libra, and then Mercury owns Gemini, and then Virgo or Kanya Rashi, right? So that's how it is. And then Saturn is given Capricorn and Aquarius ownerships, and finally Pisces and Sagittarius is owned by Jupiter or Guru. So what exactly I mean by ownership is this. So whenever the planet stays in its own house, for example, when you sit in your home, you will be in your shorts and you will be in your comfortable position, and then you will give the best results, right? You will be in a very happy state. So that is actually the ownership. So for example, I put you, there is an enemy for you. For example, Sudhan has one Mr. X as enemy. Suppose I put you in his house, okay? And you will always be in, expecting certain surprises. You are not very comfortable in his house. So that is the status that will happen for the planet also. It becomes very comfortable in its own house, and it becomes not so comfortable in its enemy's house. And we give certain names for it. We call them as Ucha Kshetram and Nicha Kshetram. Okay, and then there is one more concept which is new here, is that there is a thing called Mula Trikona Rashi. So Mula Trikona Rashi becomes, it's like, it's going to give the 75% of its result. So that means it is, if it is exalted, it is going to give you 100% result. If it is Mula Trikona Rashi, I can say 75% of the result. And then debilitation, it will not be able to give you much results. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about those concepts here. Okay, so before that, I will also tell you something which is very interesting, which we didn't cover in the previous session. We talked about the zodiac signs, but I didn't talk about the nature. What is hot, what is cold, and what is, I was mentioning a little bit about it, but I didn't give you what are known as movable signs, fixed signs, and dual signs. So movable signs are actually the ones which are in the orange color here. Aries, Mesha Rashi, then Cancer, the Karkataka Rashi, then Tula Rashi, and then Capricorn. These four are called movable signs, okay? And in that movable signs, we have fiery signs, okay? I'm giving a connection between the nature of the zodiac signs.
I just want to ask a question.
Yes, sir.
Can you explain what is movable, what is fixed?
Exactly. See, movable signs. See, for example, whenever the moon goes, see, always we talk about the lagna or the moon, right? So I'm going to introduce the term moon here. Whenever the moon moves from 0 degrees to 30 degrees of Aries, okay, at any given point of time, the baby would have born, and it would take the nakshatra, whichever it is. It can be Ashwini nakshatra, or it can be Bharani nakshatra, or Kritika, the first part of it. So any of these nakshatras, the moon may take as it moves across 30 degrees of Aries, right? So the people born, or the baby that is born under the influence of Aries, we call that as movable sign. That means the people who have this moon can move out of their motherland. They will have a lot of journeys to make in their life. Okay, so the same goes for Cancer zodiac sign as well. So there is a nakshatra of Pushya. Pushya nakshatra belongs to Cancer zodiac sign. A lot of people who are born with Pushya nakshatra will have a chance to move. They can make, see, they can either do the watery movement, that means on the sea route, or it can be on the air route. right? It is very much possible that the people will move out of their motherland for good for some period of time or the other. And same thing goes to Libra, and same thing goes to Capricorn also. So these four are called movable signs. See, on the contrary to this, Mr. Sudhan, there are fixed signs like Taurus, you have Leo, and Scorpio and Aquarius. These the people who are born with the moon in any of these four zodiac signs, they will be very fixed.
I have
Sorry.
one doubt. Are you talking when you are mentioning about moon? Is it Lagna or is just moon in those houses?
I'm just putting moon in those houses right now because I didn't want to complicate about the Lagna itself. In this case, I'm purely talking about moon, as everything starts with the moon nakshatra for the dashas and antardashas, right? So the planetary time period is all based on planet moon.
Okay, another question here. Maybe this is you have to put some light on this. Nakshatra is based on Lagna or moon?
Nakshatras are purely based on moon.
So that means wherever the moon is placed, that is the nakshatra we are going to consider.
Consider for
so that can be
king of the cycle.
King of the cycle. That can be either in the Lagna or away from the Lagna?
No. Lagna you have to consider as the body. As I told you, I related the Lagna with respect to the head portion of the body, right? And it represents the Bhumi. So whatever happens physically to us, it's all seen through Lagna. Whereas the planetary time periods are purely assigned based on the moon's position and which nakshatra and padam it occupies.
Okay.
So if moon is somewhere in the Bharani nakshatra, Bharani nakshatra is owned by Venus, and their planetary time period starts with Venus. So they will have Shukra dasha as the starting dasha. Right, so everything starts with that, and then it will follow a particular pattern, dashas and antardashas for a person. So that is why we give a lot of importance to moon when the person is born, to calculate the time periods.
As you said, Lagna is the physical. Lagna is the body. The first is the head region.
Correct.
When you talk about the signs, movable signs, fixed, does it not apply to the physical body rather than the mind?
It is both, actually. You can give 50% weightage for both. Definitely, if Lagna is in the zodiac sign of Aries or Cancer or Libra or even Capricorn, the probability of this person moving out from the motherland is very, very high.
Right.
Definitely, yes. And then the mindset also should be considered.
So mind also
talks about the
plays
mindset
a role here. Exactly.
Yes. It needs both. So I always give 50-50 weightage for both Lagna.
So what happens if a Lagna is in a fixed sign as mind is in a movable sign?
Exactly. Beautiful question. You got it. This is the type of question I really like it to answer. See, the thing is this. The person may have the attitude to go out of the country, but physically he may be stuck based on certain karmic cycles. So he or she may be trying very hard to go out, but they may not get chances. It all depends on other aspects, like 9,000.
So you are talking about
video I have made
that is also very one thing which we are going to discuss in the future. Like the 12th house definitely signifies foreign land,
foreign travels, and all that. And we have to see whether it's a movable sign, fixed sign, or a dual sign, and things like that. So not only there are so many aspects. Actually, astrology is a very, very vast science, and we can touch it. It's a sea in front of you, and you can only take one subject at a time, and we cannot integrate everything. It's a fascinating question. Definitely, the mind will be thinking of moving out, but physically they may get stuck. It is possible.
Maybe you can give me an analogy. I'll just give you an example. So if the Lagna is in Scorpio and the moon is in Pisces, and the 12th house is Libra, which is again movable sign.
Yes, certainly.
So how do we interpret here? Like if the Lagna is in the fixed sign and the 12th house is in a movable sign?
Yes.
Right.
See, this person will be very fixed. Maybe the first half of the life he may not move out and things like that. But you have to see the planets also. We are just talking about it's like an empty plot. We have not even constructed anything there.
Exactly.
Right. So this is basic foundation. But the nature of the person will be, he will have a tendency to move out, but he will be stuck. He will be stuck unless there is a very positive influence on, or
12th house.
the Lagna Lord himself goes and sits in the 12th house of movable sign.
Uh-huh.
Then on that particular dasha and antardasha of that planet, he may get the chance to move out for a particular defined period of time. Right? It is possible. So many possible combinations are there in this 12 zodiac signs. Okay.
So also
let's continue.
Moon here, if it is aspecting the 12th house, then there is a possibility of moving out.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. So many possibilities. There are, if there are a lot of influences, many planets. Let us say there are 3 or 4 planets sitting in the 12th house. So his energy level concentration is more in the 12th. Then it also signifies that the person has the idea to move abroad and things like that. Okay, so let's go back to this concept what I was just showing you here.
Yeah, we also have to talk about duals. Explain about duals.
Dual signs also. So movable signs, fixed signs, and dual signs. Dual signs can act both ways. It is like Aries signs, it's like air. It can move, it can be stationary, it can follow any particular pattern. So they are either they can move out, or they can stay there, or they can do movement within the jurisdiction of their own country. For example, a person is born in Bangalore, he may be frequently traveling to Mysore, or he may be frequently traveling to Delhi, and then he may not go out of jurisdiction of his homeland, home country, and things like that. So that is possible. Okay. So the nature of the characteristics of these of zodiac signs like Aries and Leo and then Sagittarius, it's fire in nature. Okay. In the same time, we also have earthy signs like Taurus and Kanya Rashi, or let me put this here. I hope you can see this. This is Kanya Rashi, and then which is Virgo, and also the Capricorn. So these 3 becomes the earthy triangle. You can even connect them like a triangle, fire triangle, earth triangle, and then I'm also going to show you the air triangle. So the airy triangles are nothing but the Gemini, then Libra, and then Aquarius. Right. So finally, the water ones. So the Cancer zodiac sign is a watery sign. Scorpio and also Pisces is a watery sign. So you can always connect them as triangles. So fire triangle, earth triangle, air triangle, and water triangle. So this is what is also composition of Pancha Mahabhutas. Right? So we can relate this to even Vastu, and we can connect this to many subjects, actually, even numerology. So let's take one at a time. Today, we want to understand that we have movable signs, we have fixed signs, and we have dual signs. And in that also, the characteristics of signs can be hot or a fire. It can be as patient as Bhumi or the earth. And then it can be a dual sign with airy nature. And then lastly, the watery sign. So people who are with the watery sign, they feel very cold all the times. They need to wear the sweaters and they cannot take lower temperatures. The people with the fiery signs, they always will be sweating. They need cooler temperatures. They like to go to the cooler areas in the world and things like that. Okay. And in between cases, you can always relate the nature of the person with the zodiac sign in which they are born. All right. So that's the thing. And then let's just summarize ownership. Of course, this table, our viewers can take a screenshot of it. It is exactly the same as what I shown in the previous one. But now I wanted to tell you something very interesting. Who are the best friends, who are the enemies, and who are the neutrals? If you know this, the predictions becomes very easy. Okay. So if you consider Sun, okay, you must know who are his best friends. Okay, Sun consider Moon as its best friend, Mars as its best friend, and Jupiter as its best friend. So whenever they are in conjunction or aspecting each other and all that, they do give very good results in the horoscopes. Mercury can be a neutral, but the worst enemy is Saturn and
now I want to know why they are friends and enemies.
Answer for why is it is through a lot of experiments done by our sages, and they have given this tabular column is given to us, and now it is up to us to apply in our own charts and see. You get my point? So these are all
You
given
mean to say
based
that
on thousands of years of experience.
what impact they have as a friend or as an enemy?
Okay, let me just give you a very good example, then you will understand it better. For example, Sun and Saturn, they are extreme enemies, right? So Ravi Putraha Yamagrajaha, they say in Sanskrit. So Saturn is the son of Sun, S-O-N of S-U-N. But Saturn, when the drishti of Saturn falls on Surya, direct 180-degree drishti or 10th house drishti, which I'm going to explain to you later. Saturn has different drishtis. So whenever the Saturn aspects Sun in one individual's horoscope, then the Sun's characteristics will get reduced. For example, Sun is the father. So the father of that baby may die earlier, or that father may not add much value to the life of that baby that is going to develop as an individual, right? So Saturn's drishti on Sun is not good, and Sun's drishti on Saturn is not good. So this is how it is.
This is how. I mean, is it only for the father, or is there any other like?
There are so many characteristics that Sun represents. Sun is the engine of the horoscope, right? All your success, okay, all your brightness in life is seen by Sun, and once it gets afflicted with the drishti of Shani, the person's progress will be very slow. Okay, the first 35 years will be very slow, and the progress will not be that. The effect of that will disappear after the half of the life is passed. After 35 years, we say the person is going to progress well. In the other example, I want to just say, whenever the Sun combusts or Sun is in close conjunction with planet Venus, right, the marital happiness will get compromised. The reason is the juice of the happiness of marriage is given by planet Venus. Venus is the planet of ecstasy. It gives joy, happiness. So once it comes in close conjunction with Surya, Sun, then what happens? The people get problems in marriage, and I have seen a lot of divorces. Whenever the Sun and the Moon, they are in close conjunction with, like, let's say, for example, between 1 to 3 degrees, right? More than 3 degrees is different unless there is a good aspect of Jupiter or something on that 1 to 3 degrees gap. What happens? The people will apply for divorces and they get separated from each other. I've seen marriages broken whenever this type of situation happens.
So you meant to say, if there is a combust of Venus and Sun, and there is also Jupiter in the same degree, it's going to reduce the effect of the Sun?
That's going to give a different game plan. Okay, Jupiter and Sun, they are very good friends. And again, Jupiter's drishti on that combination of Sun and Venus can support the marriage. You get my point?
Right.
I'm not saying that both of them are together. So again, if you see Jupiter and Venus, they are enemies. If Jupiter and Venus are in the same house, it will give different results. Okay, the goodness of Venus will be reduced, or goodness
to say enemy of an enemy is a friend. Huh?
That is also possible.
Right?
Yeah. It's all the same thing. What is happening in our normal observation with other human beings, it is exactly the same thing going to happen with the planets also. Who is enemy, who is the best friend? If this tabular column is well understood and memorized well, it is very easy to understand. So we understand that Sun has the best friendship with these three. It is very neutral to Mercury. And whenever the combination of Sun and Mercury happens, we call it as Buddha Aditya Yoga. Buddha is Mercury, Aditya is Sun. So we call it as Buddha Aditya Yoga. The people will have a razor sharp brilliance. Okay, Mercury represents intelligence, and when it is in close degrees of Sun, not combusted, of course, more than 3 degrees. If it is within 3 to 8 degrees, we say Buddha Aditya Yogam is formed, and the person will have razor sharp brilliance. The person will be very intelligent, we say. Okay, that means he puts his soul into his intelligence. Then he will do a lot of good works. That's what is the result, we can say. In the same way, Moon considers Sun and Mercury as the best friends. Okay, and there are a lot of neutrals. It doesn't have any enemies. This is the only graha. If you observe the tabular column here, Moon doesn't consider anyone as enemies. That is why the Moon is our emotion. Moon is like our mother.
I can ask this question. If you
yes.
Moon doesn't have enemy, but why Venus has Moon as the enemy?
Exactly. So this is what the moon considers who are the enemies. With respect to the moon, it is
So,
considering Sun and Mercury as the best friends, but not necessarily it is applicable. You get
no,
my
no.
point?
See,
But
if
you
Moon,
see
if
here, Mercury consider moon as its enemy.
I just want to understand this.
Yes.
If Venus is considering Moon as its enemy,
Yes.
how come Moon is not considering Venus as its enemy?
Not necessarily. Converse may not be true. See, it happens to people. Person X and Y is there. The person X is considering Y as the best friend. Okay, but this guy in his mind, he may not reciprocate in the same way. He may consider him as enemy. He may consider him as his competitor. He may do
So,
more harm to this guy without his knowledge. That is very
see,
dangerous.
you are right. Like if Venus is considering Moon as its enemy, it can harm the Moon.
Yes, it is very much possible. It
Oh.
happens. When you see horoscopes, you will see the beauty of it. Okay, I'm seeing these horoscopes for last almost 30 years, so I can appreciate what is happening in practical. So it's possible. When you observe more and more examples, horoscopes of different people whom you know, then it is very, very likely to see the results. Okay, that's how this tabular column has come. Right, so that's the beauty of it. Moon doesn't consider anyone as enemies. It tries to do its best for everyone. Okay, and its best friend again is even Jupiter. Jupiter consider Moon as the best friend. That's why whenever Jupiter and Moon are in close conjunction, or when they are in the Kendra sthanas from each other, they will give the best results, and we call it as Gaja Kesari Yoga. Right, Gaja Kesari Yoga. You must have heard about it. I made a beautiful video about it. So whenever the moon and Jupiter are in conjunction or aspecting to each other, it gives very good results. Okay, very, very good results. And even the person's nature, the moon is the mind and Jupiter is influencing it. That's the best possible mind you can think. They will never do any harm. They will not waste time in any unnecessary activities. They will always try to add value to the society. You know, very great people are born in the Vedic Yoga, like Narendra Modi, for example. So he has the Vedic Yoga, and things like that. So that's what it is. And then Mercury considered. Okay, you can easily interpret this table. It's very, very simple. And you see here the maximum enemies are there for Saturn. Saturn considers Sun as its enemy, Moon also as a Paramashatru. And the Mars is devastating. Saturn and Mars, they are like oil and fire.
Right.
They can never get together. Right. So that's what it is. And you can see the Mars considers Saturn as neutral. You see, Saturn considers these three guys as enemies. Mars has the Paramashatru, whereas Mars don't care. Unless Saturn comes and disturbs, it won't take any action on Saturn. It's neutral. He will leave it. And something like that.
So this is like,
this is the nature
of different countries in the world and how they consider each other, right?
Exactly. So that's why astrology is a very interesting subject. More and more you study this, and you will be seeing this as more fascinating.
Right. So now, understanding this chart, the students can start interpreting the planetary enemies and friends, like how they behave with each other. But still, there are a lot of things to know. Oh,
certainly. All right, so that is the first part of the explanation, and then a little bit more light on what is exaltation and debilitation. The technical definitions are given here. Exaltation is placement of planets in a particular sign where they feel very happy. It's the best place, and he gives the maximum results. 100% results can be obtained whenever you are lucky to be born with exaltation of planets. Debilitation is exactly opposite. Okay, so debilitation positional planets do not give much results. Okay, and Mula Trikona Rashi can give 75% results. So now let us just quickly see for the zodiac sign of Aries. Exalted planet is Sun. Sun gets deeply exalted. A ruling planet is Mars, as I told you, and element is fire. So just see this last column here, exalted planets. Moon gets exalted in Taurus, and even there are specific degrees. Okay, for example, 3 degrees of Rohini Nakshatra in the Taurus, that is the best place of highest point of exaltation for Moon. Okay, the Sun gets exalted in 10 degrees of Aries, something like that. So Saturn gets exalted in Libra or the Tula Rashi. That is why he's called Nyayadish. He's the judge. The Libra, if you see the symbol, it represents the weighing scale with a blindfolded lady who is the queen of justice. right? The Queen of Justice is going to exalt Saturn because Saturn is the real judge. He's unbiased. He gives the same results for everyone, whether he's a king or he's a beggar on the road. So the justice is served by Lord Saturn. Okay, Mars gets exalted in Capricorn, a very disciplinary sign. Mars is like a general or an army general. You know, he does best in the disciplinary sign of Capricorn. Capricorn is interesting. It is owned by Saturn, and Saturn considers Mars as enemy, but Mars gets exalted and gives maximum results in Capricorn. Right? People like Rajinikanth is born with Capricorn Mars, you know, and things like that. And Venus is the planet of love and beauty, right? So it gets maximum exaltation point at 27 degrees in Pisces. So that's how the rishis has given us this.
So that means at certain degrees only they get exalted.
That gives the maximum exaltation point. Maximum. It's like a bell-shaped curve, you know. It starts from some degrees and it peaks at some point. I'm just telling you some peak points.
Right.
And you can always Google this information. You will get a lot of tabular columns. I've just taken one of it just for ease of remembering. That's all.
Right.
Right. So that's the exaltation and debilitation points.
And there is something I wanted to ask about the best position, because there is something called exaltation, which we discussed, and debilitation. Is there something like, for example, Jupiter gets exalted in some planet, and there is something called Kumbha Guru, like where he gives the maximum benefit?
Yes. That is called directional strengths. There are so many strengths that we can talk about the planets, right? The placement of planet from the Lagna is very, very important. Like Sun does very well in, for example, first house. Okay, so it makes the leadership qualities and it gives you the maximum strength. It also does very well in the sixth house. Sun becomes very prominent planet in
his own house, which is Leo.
I'm not talking about the zodiac signs. I'm talking about the placement with respect to Lagna. He does very well with third house, first house, sixth house, 10th house. It gives the maximum. People who have
the way you are interpreting it has many pros and cons. Like if it is in the enemy's house, how is it going to give the best result? Or
that's what we have to see.
House of water, how is it going?
We cannot generalize every fact, but by and large, we have to have these type of rules. So, for example, if Sun gets exalted in Aries and it happens to be your second house, or it happens to be your 12th house,
right?
So he can do bad things in the higher level.
Like now, what is the point of being exalted?
Right? Yes. So that not all exalted planets. See, its placement from Lagna is also important, equally important.
Yes.
So what is the use of getting an exalted Saturn when it is in the 12th house?
Yes.
Right? True. So it may not do well in the 12th house, but it will give some results. We have to interpret. It's very, very specific. We have to see many things.
So also there is something that they say, like a bad planet in a bad house gives good result.
Yes, bad planet in the bad house is Raja Yogam, because negative planet. It's a very important point you brought out. See, negative planets like Saturn, okay, Mars is actually not negative, but it is aggressive planet, right. And then Rahu, Ketu. So these four planets, whenever they are placed in Trit Bhavas, like third house, sixth house, eighth house, and even 12th house. So they do very well. That means it removes the negative. It's already a negative planet. It removes the negativity of that negative house. So a negative planet sitting in the negative places will give positive results. Minus of minus is plus.
So it's something like an antibiotic.
Yes, exactly. Okay. Exactly. So it's good to have bad planets in your sixth house so that you will get very good resistance towards diseases.
But I would like to come to an understanding, like which planets are doing good for that person, or which planet are doing bad to that person. We have to understand in which house he is placed, and in which, and what is his lagna,
and what is his condition.
What is his what is the condition of the planet, whether he is exalted or debilitated, and what are the aspects of other planets on his planet?
On this planet. So much you have to understand before you can give any judgment about a horoscope. Right. It all comes with experience. Some people just see the chart for 5 to 6 seconds, and then they will start just like that saying, because they would have got expertized. They will have intuitional knowledge as well. So that level is level of masters. Our sages, they used to do that type of predictions. Even today, some great astrologers are there who will just see the horoscope for about 5 to 10 seconds, and they will just tell about them. So it comes with the experience. It's not easy. It needs a lot of practice, dedication, and your real divine knowledge of your astrology is very important. You must consider this as a divine knowledge.
Right.
Not everyone can learn this easily. Okay, so that's it. And then the last part of today's topic, we will just talk about each graha and its character. Right, what it represents, and then we will do a series of the planets through different houses for different lagnas. All right, so sun, the symbol is all given here. These symbols can be taken. People get used to this over a period of time. Some people just write symbols, right? So you can write sun with a circle and a dot, moon in this shape. Mercury is like a hermaphrodite. It is a neutral gender. So it has got male and female, something like that. These are all unique symbols and conventions followed by astrologers worldwide. Okay, so that's what I've given. Saturn means they will write like this, an extended H with a kind of a plus mark on the top. And Jiva, Jupiter is also called Jiva. It is written like this symbol, like a Sai or something like that. So these are all just taken from the classical textbook of astrology. All right. So sun means what it is. Sun is the engine of the horoscope. I told you, it is the self, Atman itself. People believe that sun, wherever it is sitting, that is the place where the soul is residing in the horoscope. Okay, it is representing father. It represents the government, on all higher authoritative things are seen by sun. Okay, it's a very resourceful graha. Moon is like all about our emotions, the way we think, our thought process, mother. The position of moon shows how your mother will be in the horoscope. Right? We can tell if the moon is in 6th house, or if it is in the 8th house, if it is aspected by Saturn, it is in close conjunction with Rahu, for example, we say the person's mother must have gone through a lot of problems and things like that. Same thing goes for the sun. If the sun is in the 12th house of a person's horoscope, we say this father didn't add much value to this person and things like that. Okay. So the next one is Mercury. Mercury is all about the intelligence, the logical aspects, whatever the way you think logically, and that is what Mercury is going to give to you. And Venus is all about, and Mercury also represents communication. The way we talk, the way we communicate and give whatever our brain is thinking, how you are going to convince the same subject to other person. That's what it's Mercury. It's Mercury that is doing. Like, for example, we are putting it in a form of presentation. We are trying to communicate this to the whole world. And that's the Mercury. Our Mercuries are working on this project right now, right, as we are doing this one. All right. And Venus is the planet of beauty. People who are in the cinema line and all those models and all that, they have very good placement of Venus. The moment Venus you see there, you will know that this person is beautiful to look at. You don't have to see the person in real. If the cut data is given, we can say the Venus in the 1st house gives a beautiful hair. The beauty of the person is all seen through the hair. If the hair is beautiful, you can, people like Katrina Kaif is to be imagined, right? That's how we give the importance for Venus in the horoscope, right? So some may have Venus in their heart, 4th house, for example. They will be very kind-hearted, very nice people. So it's all about the placement of the planet Venus, where it is. This is one planet which gives you, which tells you that this person is going to be happy physically. Physical happiness I'm talking about. This planet Venus is very, very important. Okay, marital happiness, everything is seen through Venus. All liquid caches, billionaires of this world, they will have very good Venus. It's Lakshmi, right? So Mars is all about action-oriented things. Whatever male things you have in your system, even if you are a girl or a boy, whatever actions that you take in this life and what courage you have, what you fight for is seen through your Mars. If Mars is placed very well, you can do this Martian energy in a good way, right? Suppose you are having Mars in the 1st house, You may get even into physical fights. People who are having Mars in the first house in the head, they don't think, they just act, something like that. So unless they are guided properly, if this Mars is having a good aspect of Jupiter, then they will use that, they control that and use it for better purposes. We need the Martian energy, but it should not go and harm the society.
Like being in the police or going to...
Yes, he can be a beautiful policeman, a very intelligent policeman who can add a lot of value to the society, catch the thieves and robbers or whatever. He can control the crime rate in the society. So whenever his Mercury and Jupiter is very much influencing his Mars, he can be the best policeman in that particular
I heard even like boxers have a good Mars because they're
exactly. They're very good sports people. Like Mike Tyson, of course, he had extreme and even he go and bite the ear of a Wonderful. You know that story, right?
Yes, I know that.
He's extremely angry person.
Right.
Yeah, that he was even debarred from it. Right. But you see the action of Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali is having cancer ascendant. He has got 10th house Mars, and from an ordinary person, Muhammad Ali became a very famous boxer, right? World famous boxer, and things like that. So we have various horoscope examples. We will take that. We will choose certain celebrities and we will talk about their horoscopes. Narendra Modi, for example, Mars is still in the first house. He is born in Scorpio Lagna. He is a very angry person internally, but he is controlled. He has controlled it very well because he has got Jupiter in the 4th house. Right? He loves his motherland to the highest degree. So that he can do anything for his country. That's what he doesn't distinguish between his own mother and Mother India. Right? So such people are born with Mars. They are very, very emotional people towards their country. Such passionate people are born when Mars is very well placed in the horoscope. And Jupiter is the best of all. So if one planet, Jupiter, you put on one side of the weighing scale, and the rest of all the planets on the other, Jupiter still weighs more. Even practically also, Mars, it's the biggest of all planets. Right? So it is the one which has the next highest mass after Sun. Sun has the 88% of the entire mass of the solar system, if you see, and Jupiter is the next highest one. So it's very fascinating. All the entire mass of the solar system, if you take, Sun occupies almost 88%. The remaining 12% is distributed with the rest of the solar system. You can imagine. So in that, the highest is Jupiter, and you can put 1,000 Earths in one Jupiter. That's what they say. 1,000 Earths or 100 Earths? I can't remember.
I don't think 1,000.
I think it should be 100 Earths. 100 Earths can go. Even they say even that the great what is that spot? Red spot of Jupiter can fit in one Earth inside that. So such a huge planet, Jupiter, in physicality, but in our astrological concepts, we say that Jupiter is Jiva Karaka. It is known as the word Jiva. If you see any shlokas in any of the classical textbooks, they will always they won't call it as Guru or Jupiter, they call it as Jiva. So it has such a important
Prajapati
planet.
is also Guru?
Prajapati, I'm not very sure. You cannot link. The Prajapati is a character that comes in mythological things. And this is purely, I'm talking from the textbooks of astrology. Right? So always Parashara Horoshastra book refers Jupiter as Jiva. Right? So Jupiter, if it is well placed in the horoscope, you will be very optimistic. You will be always jovial, and you like to do positive things in your life, and you will get all kind of happiness. You will get very good education if it is well placed, either in the 5th house or 9th house or in the Lagna itself. They say when Jupiter goes to the Lagna, more than 1,000 plus doshas in the horoscope can get cancelled because of one planet, Jupiter, in the Lagna. Right? Only the lucky people will have Jupiter in the 1st house. And that too, if it is in exaltation condition, they are the best people. They are the best teachers, gurus. So that's what it is. And Jupiter gives all happiness, even marriage. If you want to have a marriage, a good married life, your Jupiter should be well placed. If you want to have kids, and if you want to have a male kid, you really need to have a very good placement of Jupiter. All right. Next one is Saturn. Saturn is all about restrictions, pessimism, and structure and order. See, Jupiter writes the law, Saturn implements the law. This is what we say, So judge is the one who is implementing. He's taking all the rules and regulations, and he will see and he will implement it to every particular case by case, right? So Saturn is the judge of your horoscope. He will always be impartial. Whatever good you have done in the past life, it will come back to you. Whatever bad you have done in the past life also will come back to you. No partiality by Saturn. He's very neutral, and that's what there's a lot of mythological stories about it. But as I see practically the Saturn, it is the best of all planets actually, because it is the planet which helps to remove your bad karmas. It's something like he's a doctor.
Like he's basically
Suppose you eat you go to a marriage function or something.
This is like he's like detox person.
He's the one who detoxes everything. He cleans you. He gives you punishments in such a way that you become very humble, and he's the one really helping you towards your higher level of
evolution.
Only when Saturn cleanses everybody's bad karmas, only then we get the license to get into the higher level. Right. Without Saturn, nothing is possible. We cannot have Jupiter is good. That doesn't mean suppose I give you a sweet like a ladu or something like that. I cannot be giving you that, and you cannot be eating that forever. You have to stop it at some point of time, and you have to do this. So we should have a very good combination. We need to have good Jupiter. We also need to have Saturn.
Right.
So, and Saturn also is going to give you structure. Okay, it controls the calcium in the body. It gives a shape and structure to the body, and it does a lot of restrictions. And Saturn can make a person a king, or he can make a person a beggar on the road. Both is possible. Both is decided by Saturn. So even though Venus and Jupiter are trying to push all the good things to you, but it is the Saturn who.
What if his Saturn is in Lagna?
Whether you get it or not.
Saturn is in Lagna. How is it going to really?
Saturn in the Lagna. Okay, it depends on its condition. If it is an exalted Saturn, or it's a debilitated Saturn, or it's a neutral Saturn, and in what degrees it is 0 to 10 degree, we call it as Balya Avastha. 10 to 20 degrees is called Yuva Avastha, and 20 to 30 degrees is called Mudita Avastha. So Saturn in the Mudita Avastha will not be able to do much things, whereas if it is there in the 15 degrees range in the nominal value, that is between 10 and 20 degrees, it gives maximum results. So for example, if Saturn itself stays in the Lagna, the person looks very old. He will have a lot of white hairs. He look with a saggy skin and all that. He looks very mature. And he can be a very good negotiator in business. Saturn always is the one which rules the 7th house of Libra. Right? 7th house is the public. Right? It's a market. It's an open market. Right. So Saturn is so intelligent that it gives you that negotiation power. He is the one who controls the laborers and all that. So with very good Saturn in the first house, the person can go to politics also. It's not going to give you negative things, my friend. On the contrary, if it is a very bad Saturn, if it is in 0 degrees or 2 degrees, and then it is in the enemy sign, and it's going to be crazy, really. 2-3 degrees of Aries, the debilitation sign, and if it is not having any good aspects, it can make the person crazy, very revengeful. Very that he will always do bad things to the society.
Can become Osama bin Laden. You can ask.
I had done a horoscope of Osama bin Laden. He's not that bad. Always see certain things will make the person. He has got Malavya Yogam. He has got the best, the Venus in the first house. If you see him, Osama bin Laden was a very handsome person.
Yeah. I mean, he was even more educated.
Very beautiful to look at, actually. Malavya Yogam. He has got that Malavya Yogam. He is born in Tula Lagnam with Venus in its own house.
I mean, how are you sure that it is his exact date of birth and time?
This is what I had just taken from the net, whatever available. Things are there. It may be true also.
Maybe true.
But not everyone will be born as Osama bin Laden or Narendra Modi. It's all the way they grow and their karmic things and planetary alignments. Okay. So that's about Saturn. Okay, let's cover the Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, which is very, very important to understand. Right. Uranus is all about something new it wants to create. It's the rebellion in the society. It's the one which is going to do all innovative new jobs.
Right.
Like Thomas Alva Edison one day came out with an electric bulb. And whenever in that particular period of time, when people saw electric bulb, they started running away from him. They thought he's a mantrik. He's doing some black magic or something like that. The people ran away from him, because they thought that there is a skull which is burning. when they saw the first electric bulb, So
Right.
such things, such new innovations and which is out of box thinking is all done by Uranus. And we
Right.
can relate Uranus to Brahman himself,
Brahman.
creator, right? Neptune is all about the imagination, dreams, illusions. It's the Mayavi Vishnu. It represents Vishnu Bhagavan himself. In this lifetime, we need to have a very high level of spirituality to realize who is Vishnu, right? So it is not everybody get that higher level connect to the higher level consciousness in this universe.
I mean,
So
it's like, it's very elusive,
it is an illusion.
Right.
Neptune is a planet of illusion. And Pluto, you can relate it to Lord Shiva in a constructive destruction mode. Okay, and you can. Some people also consider Pluto as Yama himself. Yama is the god of death. Is the richest of all gods. Why? Because everybody has to die one day, and all the properties are left out with Yama.
Right.
So the Pluto can make a person very, very rich, extremely rich.
I mean, I just want to bring this up. I heard somewhere that Rahu is the one who actually kills a person, because
Okay, yeah.
The
All
Yama
in
is
imagination, we used to have the poor guy Rahu and the poor guy Ketu. Anything bad happens to our horoscope, we used to blame only these two. But in reality, the Rahu Ketu doesn't have that much power as Pluto. Okay, when you study the modern science, many destructive things like gang rapes, then mass killings, brutal murders like Kashmir files, if you see. So such kind of attitudes are all done by Pluto. Why? Because I will tell you, since we are talking about Pluto, I have to mention this. See, all this term terrorism came into picture only in the late 80s and early 90s. It started. That is where, when Pluto entered the zodiac sign of Sagittarius. Sagittarius is all talking about dharma, okay? Dharma, religion, and things like that. So the killings, mass killings in the name of religion and all that started when Pluto entered Sagittarius, Dhanas Rashi. So Pluto stayed there almost until 2019. So 1990 to 2019. So long period of time, until 2019, if I'm not mistaken, it is the month of November, October or November.
I think that's when the
zodiac. That is the time the coronavirus was triggered, when it just entered 0 degrees of Capricorn. Right? Until then, it was staying in that particular house, and it gave the new word called terrorism. In 1960s and 70s, nobody knew what is the word terrorism. Right? There were a lot of activities that used to happen, but the word terror word was not there. So this is the Pluto. Right, the brutal killings.
Greenstone Lobo was mentioning that in 2025 some great change is going to happen. Pluto is going to enter the gray lizard state.
Yeah, there are a lot of things. He talks very interesting terminologies and things like that. But practically, if you see the past, whenever the Pluto entered, it stayed in the whole zodiac sign of Sagittarius. It really gave the killings and all that in the name of religion. It really happened. Right. So it's all about transformation, obsession, power. All the big people, big shots in this world are all having powerful Pluto. Right. So like Bill Gates, you talk about any people who are born in 1950 to 1955 at most. So that particular 5 years has produced huge results. People born like Narendra Modi is 1950, Rajinikanth 1950, right? Bill Gates 1952, and Steve Jobs 1952. So that particular phase is called the gray. That's called actually the eagle avatar of Pluto. So the Greenstone Lobo has explained very well. I like.
I think 2019 is also eagle, right?
That's different. That's different. I'm talking about the exalted position of Pluto, because Pluto gets deepest exaltation in the zodiac sign of Leo or Simha Rashi. So it stayed in that Simha Rashi until 1967, if I'm not mistaken. 67 or 68, 1967 or 68. So right from 1950, it just entered when Narendra Modi was born on 17th September. It was almost in close to between 0 and 1 degree. So whenever the nascent, we call that as nascent Pluto, that is the one which gives the maximum results of Pluto.
Okay.
And that too when it is in it takes 250 years one time, and once in 250 years people like Bill Gates or Narendra Modi is born. Even Putin is born in that period, right?
Yeah.
So
Yes.
if you go and Google the peoples who are born, the celebrities who are born between 1950 and 1954 or 55, you will hit into a lot of big shots, big people who have transformed this world, right? So they are born for transforming this world, I can say. All right. So north and south node, it gives a lot of potentials. Okay, one is Rahu is north node, which gives you desires, a lot of ambition. Without Rahu, see, Rahu is considered a negative planet, but I don't consider this as a total negative planet. So without the desires and aspirations, you will not be able to do things, right? Your
You cannot live without desires.
cannot live.
Life.
So
Yes.
in the Kali Yuga, Rahu plays a very vital role. If Rahu's placement is very, very good, like it is there in the Trigona, 3, 6, 12, and even 11. So it gives a lot of good results. It makes a person rich as well, but not as rich as Pluto, right? There is a big difference between them.
Yeah.
So North Node plays a very vital role, and it's all about the present life. It's all about the selfishness of a person. So how selfish you are, you want to see, go and look at the horoscope, and then where is the placement of Rahu. Okay, Rahu does very well in the earthy signs like Taurus or Kanya Rashi and then Capricorn. It likes, because it's going to get stabilized, but it does not do very well in the fiery sign because it gets burnt, we say. So Rahu doesn't do that well in the thing, and watery signs also it doesn't. But it's the best results of Rahu can be seen when it is in the earthy signs. That's why it gets exalted in Taurus. All right, same thing goes to Ketu, but in the opposite way. It's a very karmic planet of the past life. For whatever we achieved in the past, it is always there, and we will lose the interest in that. So whenever the Ketu goes to the 7th house, it spoils the marriage. The person likes to remain single and things like that, unless there are other positive aspects.
What if Ketu goes to the 12th house?
Ketu in the 12th house makes the life very difficult because it is a moksha karaka planet. So it wants to give the person a moksham, and so it gives a lot of troubles to the person so that he exhausts all his bad karmas. It accelerates the process of removing of all the bad karmas of the past life. So the persons with 12th house Ketu, they will be really going through a lot of transformation in their life. All right. And finally, we have something called Chiron. I will touch about Chiron and other centaurs in the next session. We will do one thing. We will follow the Chiron is a centaur, which is in the what is known as the Kuiper belt. So we will touch about it. It's a new topic, and it takes a lot of time to discuss about it. We will do that in the next session. Okay. So that's all for today. You have any other questions, Sudhan? Let me know.
I have many questions, but as we are running out of time, we should.
We can cover them. Keep noting down whenever you have questions. Jot it down somewhere, and then we can always discuss and share it with our viewers. So that I request viewers also to put their comments in the questions in the comment section. We both will be very glad to answer them. We will take up those as the input for our future sessions as well. All right, so I think we should stop here at this point of time, and we will say goodbye to the viewers. Thanks for viewing this, and please subscribe to this channel and make us motivated. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.